Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining us once again on Talk and Fight as we discuss the news and the headlines, courtesy of our friends across the pond at Boxing 247. And thank you to Christian von Spotten for joining me on the Nooner Show. She's live at 5 over in England as well. Anyway, here we go with today's news and headlines.
Oh, sorry.
Guess some of us are ready. All right. Here's someone I've never heard of. Gethin Jenkins to leave position as England Boxing CEO. England Boxing Chief Executive Officer Gethin Jenkins has announced he'll step down from his role in January. I'm sure, like you, many of you have not heard of this fellow at all, unless you're familiar with his work at Cardiff City Football Club and Newport Gwent Dragons regional rugby team. Anyway, he's held a variety of different positions in various sports organizations. And with respect to boxing, in particular boxing in England, he led the organization through a significant period of change and growth and steered England boxing through the COVID pandemic, ensuring a safe return of recreational and competitive boxing, including the national championships. And we have a quote from him: "With our funding confirmed for the next funding cycle, a new strategy essentially complete, a post-lockdown return to boxing, and the membership numbers starting to get back up to close pre-COVID levels, it now feels like the right time to move on. There's been a lot of change, with many more ideas currently being progressed, especially in regards to community outreach work and the establishment of an England Boxing Foundation. Now it's time for someone else to come in and take this organization and the sport forward." And I'm sure Christian von Spotten would be interested in that position. With respect to partnerships, Pro Bellum enters a partnership with Wasserman Boxing. Major global boxing and media company Pro Bellum can today announce a groundbreaking multi-fight, multi-year co-promotional deal with Wasserman Boxing. The historic partnership between the two boxing giants will see a number of high-profile events take place in Germany, with the first scheduled for December 3rd, while further dates are also planned for Berlin in February and Cologne in May. It means that several spectacular cards will be held in the region, giving fantastic opportunities to German boxers at home and on the international stage, while major stars from around the globe will also be given the chance to compete in Germany. Wasserman Boxing was created earlier this year after Wasserman announced the acquisition of Team Sauerland, one of the world's leading boxing promoters. They boast an incredible lineup of fighters featuring top German talent Vincent Feigenbutz, Abass Baraou, Denis Radovan, Leon Bunn, Patrick Wojcicki, and Sophie Alisch, plus a host of international stars including Chris Eubank Jr., Filip Hrgović, and Mairis Briedis. There's a great story that goes on for quite a bit of time, which we don't have time for today, over on the boxing247.com website. In particular, we'll note that Chris Eubank Jr. is fighting this Saturday night on a big card in England. In other news regarding partnerships, Boxer, that's BOXXER, the Next Generation Boxing Promotion, today announced a new partnership with Everlast and Sports Direct, who will become official partners of Boxer and Sky Sports Boxing. Everlast and Sports Direct, two companies united by their common goal to inspire and empower the next generation of athletes, are part of Fraser's Group, a global powerhouse which owns some of the world's most iconic brands. Founded in 1910, Everlast has become synonymous with the sport of boxing and has been the brand of choice for generations of champions. Battle-tested in one of the athletics world's toughest environments, Everlast's products have stood the test of time. The brand produces equipment for every combat sport and is sold across more than 75 countries and 6 continents. Sports Direct is Europe's largest sports retailer and serves millions of customers every week. A staple of the British high street for almost 30 years, Sports Direct believes that sport is the great equalizer and that access to sport and the best sports kit in the world should be a right for everyone. The partnership, as I said, commences this Saturday night boxer event at the iconic SSC Wembley Arena. Did I say arena? Arena, headlined by Chris Eubank Jr. against Anatoly Muratov. And the event airs live and exclusively on Sky Sports. Go figure. Good luck to Chris Eubank this Saturday night. Around the world, Gilberto Mendoza presented an award to Olympic champion Yulimar Rojas. You might be saying, who is Gilberto Mendoza? The president of the WBA, that's the World Boxing Association, Gilberto Jesus Mendoza, met with the Olympic medalist Yulimar Rojas on Monday in the city Caracas, Venezuela, to deliver a recognition on behalf of the Pioneer Organization and to talk about the sport in his country and around the world. Mendoza presented a mini belt to the triple jump champion and one of the great stars of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, and a source of pride in her native Venezuela, where she's been doing several events in her last month. The athlete was very excited and grateful as she admired the recognition she was awarded. For me, it is an honor to meet with a great athlete like Yulimar and to be able to talk about so many interesting topics with a great champion like her. She is an example of self-improvement and a source of inspiration, Mendoza said after his conversation with Rojas. Rojas was the triple jump champion at Tokyo 2020, in addition to the silver medal she won in Rio 2016. She's a great athlete, as well as a figure off the track, which makes her a great example for young people. Continuing our trip around the world. Off we go to Fighter Boxer. While it's challenging enough during the pandemic to even get boxers into fights, during a recent 8-day stretch from September 18th to the 25th, members of the Fighter Locker stable won 12 of 13 fights. The hot stretch started in Galveston, Texas, back on September 18th, when undefeated Colorado super middleweight Sean the Amazing McCalman, who's 9-0 with 5 knockouts, knocked out Jaime Barbosa, who's 21-19 in the opening round, and stablemate Miranda Reyes, who's 4-0, 2 knockouts. Of Houston stopped super lightweight Erica Donnelly, who's now 0-1 in 3 rounds. Then last Thursday in the Dominican Republic, Fighter Locker had 4 fighters in action at home. Two-time Olympian Leonel de los Santos, who's 4-0 with 4 knockouts, knocked out Jaime Marana. 2-10-2 in the 3rd round. Cruiserweight Rocky Baraou, 1-0, won a 4-round unanimous decision over Orlando Beltran, who's 0-1. Super welterweight Orlando Zapata, who's 9-0 with 6 knockouts, stopped Enyalo Munoz, 18-20, in 3 super welterweight. And then super welterweight Juan Solano, who's 1-0, won his pro debut with an opening round knockout of Diony Candelaria, who's 0-3 now. The lone non-winning Fighter Locker boxer was New Haven, Connecticut super welterweight Jimmy Quiet Storm Williams, who's now 18-6-2 with 6 knockouts. The UBO International and ABF USA champion, who dropped a 10-round decision in last Friday's main event in Harvard to Greg Vendetti, who's now 23-4-1 with 12 knockouts, for the vacant UBC USNBC Silver Super Welterweight Championship. It might be noted on the same night in Dedham, Massachusetts, ABF American West and NBA Continental Champion Ray J. the Destroyer Bermudez, who's 14-0 with 11 knockouts, fighting out of Albany, New York, registered a 2nd-round technical knockout of Filip Adayaka, who's 7-15 in the main event. There are lots of other fighters' information on that story, which you can find on the boxing247.com website. Not only fight information, but fighter quotes as well, which are many. On October 1st, at the Mesquite Rodeo in Texas, the 2nd round of the tournament, the Big Belt Championship, which was presented by the promoter Boxing Showcase with the endorsement of the World Boxing Council. So that's tomorrow night, Friday night, in what will be the program's stellar match, an out-of-tournament fight scheduled at 6 rounds, 160 pounds, with American Mark Guerrero Vaquez facing experienced Mexican Ulysses Jimenez. In a 4-round match within the tournament in the 147-pound division featuring Jake the Snake Yazzie against Jokerian Swanson. In another interesting match within the tournament at 118 pounds, Fernando Kid Vasquez will make his professional debut. There are many other fights to discuss, which we don't have time for in this episode, but I direct you once again to head over to the boxing247.com website for more information to be taking place at the Mesquite Rodeo in Texas tomorrow. That's October 1st. Elsewhere, back-to-back RJJ. We all know what RJJ stands for. Back-to-back RJJ boxing shows to showcase top Mexican fighters. Roy Jones Jr. Boxing Promotions has announced back-to-back shows on Thursday and Friday, October 14th and 15th, showcasing some of the top Mexican fighters in various weight classes at Auditorio Benito Juarez in Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico. Presented by Roy Jones Jr. himself, Roy, in association with De La O Promotions. Couture Pro and World Cup Boxing Series, both shows will stream live. The world's on UFC Fight Pass, the world's leading digital subscription service for combat sports. That's up for debate. Back in July, RJJ Boxing had to cancel its first show ever due to COVID-19. Veteran RJJ Boxing matchmaker Guy Taylor explained, "We decided to go back-to-back to give back to the fans who had bought tickets to the July show. They've been very supportive of RJJ Boxing, so why not do this with two of our best cards ever? We're giving fans what they really want to see, evenly matched, compelling fights because they pay good, hard-earned money for tickets. We don't want fans to know who's going to win before the fights, and we're packing the undercard with local kids. We want to give back to Los Mitos, which has produced 26 world champions, including a who's who of Mexican boxing. I don't know what's in the tacos there, but it hasn't happened by accident." Wow. And they go on to describe all the various fighters that will be participating in this particular tournament, and it looks like a great fight night indeed. So if you have UFC Fight Pass, go ahead, join in the fun. As I say, it's taking place in Sinaloa, Mexico. Elsewhere, I could not stop myself from including this item. It is headlined, "Tyson Fury Virtual Press Conference Quotes." How could I not do this for you? WBC and lineal heavyweight world champion Tyson the Gypsy King Fury expects history to repeat itself when he takes on Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder on Saturday, October 9th, as we know on ESPN Plus pay-per-view and Fox Sports pay-per-view from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. After dethroning Wilder via the 7th round knockout in February 2020, Fury reiterated that he expected the third fight to be a shorter, more dominant affair. He said, "I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm very motivated, focused, and determined, and I can't wait for October 9th. I wish it was this weekend. I have to wait one more week until I get these big hands on Wilder for a third time. It's one of the few heavyweight trilogies since Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield. I'm going to be all guns blazing, full out attack, all in victory, straight out of the door from round one until it finishes. It's either going to be me or Wilder. I've never had a bad training camp, and I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm injury-free, which is the most important thing. I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait." He continues, "I don't really make much of the excuses that were flying around for so long, but I think they just made him a weaker character and less of a man and less of a fighter, because when you get beat, you get beat. Shake the man's hand and move on. Lots of fighters have lost. Muhammad Ali lost fights. Mike Tyson lost fights. It's what they do after they lose that makes them who they are. I really don't have a lot to say about Deontay Wilder was saying. It's none of my concern, because when some people lose, they have to make up an excuse for why they lost. And that's what Wilder's reason is for convincing himself about whatever happened. That's up to him. So good luck to him in the fight, and we'll see if he can do anything better." He concludes, I don't make much of his training videos because a lot of people speak a lot of words and nothing ever gets done about it, but we'll see on the night. I hope he brings a better fight because our last fight was disappointing, to say the least. I trained for an absolute war, and it was a one-sided beatdown. So hopefully he can give me a challenge. Well, there you go, boxing fans. All the news fit to print, courtesy of our friends over at and fans at boxing247.com, our friends across the pond. Thank you very much, Christian, for supplying that news and information, and your team as well. Thank you, fans, for joining me. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and we'll see you tomorrow.